Hey Horde and soon to be Horde, this is the Injustice Count, where I keep alivers in line and make them pay for it.
That's Zombo Undead Person, and I'm Mini Zom.
We take a look at the media and track down each time that one of us is harmed, killed, or offends us.
We give a violation to each of these.
Then we take a look at those violations based on the count at the end, and mostly how we feel. We'll determine if we take them to court for a lawsuit, or let them live.
And we also crave gore.
That's right, we do very much get excited over gore, so keep an eye on that. Today we have Return of the Living Dead.
But Zombo, we're already here, so how can we return to something where we already are?
No, Mini Zom, that's the title of the movie.
Oh. Did they go somewhere?
They were dead, We'll just watch it. You'll eventually get it.
Gore, please! The movie lies to us and starts off with Frank training the newbie, hacking up skeletons, insulting the dead, showing him dead dogs and a cadaver, filing out shipping for him, typical boring Aliver stuff. A group of wannabe punk band death-obsessed misfits want to mess with Freddy at his new job. Freddy asks Frank the weirdest thing he's ever seen there, so Frank decides to show him. Break-in was one of the tombs that we're sitting in. What's that? Indestructible container destructs and leaks into their lungs throughout the building.
Did you know about this?
I didn't know about this.
How do they know our language?
Why are you asking me? I'm just a baby.
Well, apparently the creators did their research and learned how to speak undeadnese.
We see the suffering, remembering the trauma, questioning what brought us here.
Evil Alivers have brought their majestic creators here, Horde. The mistreatment to keep them locked up in such a horrific way? Not cool.
We didn't see a military man come home, worried about where his barrels went, offering some verbal domestic abuse to his wife. Then we see some punk thugs heading to Freddy's job, and the dumb driver almost unaliving them in the process. Tina wants to wait until Freddy's off so they don't freak out his boss. They decide to kill time at an ironically named cemetery they break and enter into. Both see we are missing, then struggle to exist walking upstairs. Then we see a cute little undead puppy whimpering for some brains. The Alivers to beat it with a stick, making it even forget how to yip like a dog. The cadaver is stuck in the freezer, still letting them know verbally about his concerns.
Their lack of training and panic is appealing and distressing. And rightfully so. Doing nothing is just pissing us off more like it would anyone else.
They panic and call the manager, Bert, to come in as we are revealing an existential crisis of what the Alivers did to us.
As well as we should. Beautiful undead yellow men.
Then we have an Aliver who gets really excited about being eaten alive.
I appreciate you being an ally, but I'd also appreciate you keeping your fetish to yourself.
They bicker about Aliver things as we continue to suffer in the freezer, mentioning the no food assistance, lack of clothing, and poor sanitary conditions.
If they even cared about us, civil rights lawyers would be drooling right about now.
We even go as far as to compromise eating some brains, mostly to go on deaf ears. Freddy unlocks the door as we burst through for our feast. We get pulled away and pinned to the ground with Bert axing us to the brain. Oh my god. I feel it and I see it. As he continues to scream and say he's in agony, they cut off his head. Slowly. His headless body gets up, destroying the place as he should. They tackle us and tie us up, talking about destroying us with acid.
Couldn't have said it better myself, fellow Yellow Us.
We go off on a tangent about gelatin as they discuss going to the mortuary.
Give me the bone saw.
It's to cut us into pieces to not take accountability for the dumb actions of one individual who deserves to be in prison for known kidnapping and holding undead hostage for decades and treat it like a cheap trick to show people he shouldn't.
Could it really be that simple?
It can, and it is.
We meet Ernie the mortician giving us an Aliver medical look on how unalive people stiffen up. Bert warns Ernie of our arrival, showing up in bags cut up into pieces. To give him a proper surprise, we give him a hand.
I think you acted precipitously in cutting up the corpse.
Act too quickly without thinking, which I agree with Ernie on this one. Agreed. They have can't accept their own fate-itis.
We try to compromise by trying to eat the 90% of the brain they aren't using. Instead, they rather just burn what they think is their problems away. Oh, the agony. Oh.
There, Mini Zom. It'll be over soon.
We get revenge by spreading our essence across the land, reanimating us back to life. Frank and Freddy sit there literally dying as Ernie calls for an ambulance. Our food waits in the car to be delivered to us as we slowly wake up, acknowledging the restart of our existence. I remember when I was reanimated. It hurt so bad, my voice got higher, and now I think I'm like a baby or something.
I didn't really have that experience, but moving from rigor mortis was like all your flesh just tearing apart all at once. All the dried blood crackling under the skin. Every movement was just pure pain. But I eventually got better though.
Wow. I didn't want to know any of that, Zombo. TMI. Tina abandoned the group to Freddy's workplace and headed downstairs and found our hostage holding chamber. Then, our beautiful face is revealed. Our meals leave to us as our snack is trying to run away, and failing wonderfully. She runs to the metal lunchbox, not knowing that's one of our favorite compact foods. We chain up the door as a whole punk rock misfit gang arrives, cranking the chain to open the package as the punks hear her screaming and head on downstairs. The door opens as we see a juicy skull to crunch into. They predictably flee, locking us down there as the paramedics arrive. The paramedics conclude that they are both too cold to be alive. Our food is properly delivered to us just in time for morning coffee. We get our groove on, feasting on some naked brains.
I mean, you can't really call it inhumane if it's something she really wanted.
Most run to the morgue while the rest head to the medical supply place. Meanwhile, the paramedics try to leave, but we won't let them. They try to call the popo, but we hulk our way into the room, throwing around some more jokes. They all yell a lot. Tina comforts Freddy, and Ernie finds us in the middle of supper. We scream out of fear, and he decides to pew-pew us. How rude. Our able disabled chases after him while Ernie tries to call the popo too. But the phones are unalived.
So they failed to board up the place as Ernie has the nerve to shoot at us and Bert keeps smashing us with the metal stick.
We order more food since there are a lot of mouths to feed.
Send more paramedics.
They discover Freddy is dying and quickly going into stiff mode, slowly transforming into a magnificent stage of undead birth.
It's a rare sight they need to show more often, help my little Mini Zom's brains grow.
But my brain can't grow. How can dead things grow?
We're always growing, Mini Zom. Through the power of knowledge.
Oh.
With indoctrination and misinformation.
Oh. Our second food delivery arrives quickly, being devoured. The heroes coming in and decide to bash us with pipes and hammers. We take a good chunk out of the punk's head as they chop off our lower body, then taking our food away from us, stabbing us with a stick, and using us like a mop.
Your incompetence to handle the undead doesn't mean you can treat us like dirt.
We're strapped down as we let them know that the brains make the pain go away.
I can feel myself rot.
Of course, those reanimated by chemicals work differently through infection.
It's mostly because they've been unalive longer.
Good job, Mini Zom, that's right. Their stiff bodies make it painful to exist. They need something easy to eat, like the squishiness of brains, to distract from the pain.
Yeah, flesh can be too rubbery if you can't move much. They talk about burning the bodies again because, that worked so well the first time. Our naked sex-crazed girl comes back to life to have her first feast. They decide to lock Frank and Freddy in the chapel, with Tina staying, not able to leave Freddy's side. More Popo arrive, seeing the remains of the paramedic to soon be devoured as well. They finally find a bit of acid as Freddy and Frank turned into one of us. Unfortunately, we were met with metal, a bat, hammer, and acid to the face. They tried to seal us into the chapel.
Not Freddy.
But with that language, how are we ever going to be equals?
We freak out more, wanting brains trying to get out. Ernie breaks his leg in the process.
And that's what he deserves.
We try to break free while they head to the cop car, leaving behind Ernie and Tina.
Abandoning those in your party? Well, I expect nothing less from selfish alivers.
They make it to the medical supply building, running us over and catching us on fire.
Can you watch where you drive? I don't care how you're feeling, just watch where you're going.
We continue to go insane over Tina's brains as they hide in the attic. A turned zombie unalives themselves instead of seeking survival.
Well, that's very different. I don't think I've ever seen that before.
Hey Horde, let us know in the comments if you've ever seen an undead unalive themselves after turning. You should also like and subscribe so you can be part of our Horde. Not only will we have a hive mind together, but I will love you so much. More Popo arrive as the feasting continues. We're getting so good at this. Bert grabs a bat, smashing our head off as they run downstairs.
We would have moved if you would have asked us.
They tried to call the Popo, which didn't work as it only interrupted our buffet.
Yes. Eat them. Eat them good. Yes. Alivers in suits are the tastiest.
Bert calls a wife abuser who just ends up dropping a nuke on them. It only benefits us, bringing more of us back to feast.
One interesting take of Alivers understanding our language. Let's take a look at the count. Even though there were some violations here and there, for the most part, this was a strong educational piece.
I learned so much from this. I didn't know Alivers understood how we spoke.
And how we thought. Maybe there's a possibility of Alivers and undead people becoming equals.
Really? So you don't hate Alivers anymore?
Well, unless Day of the Dead changes my mind. But I'm sure it won't.
Let me see as we... I can read, I can do this. I can read. Let's do this. Pretend to breathe, pretend to breathe. Oh man, I gotta burp every time I do a thing. Oh, wow, I can't stop.
Abandoning those in your party? Well, I expect nothing less from Elsa. Blah, 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 blah. That's how you do it.
Achoo! 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 Oh, these allergies, woo! I wish I didn't get those from being undead. Whew. I need Claritin. I'm not doing this for the bloopers. Actually, I kinda am.
All you can do is just burn them. Gotta totally reduce them to ashes so there's nothing left to come after you.
Wasn't right the first time you said it. Why the hell would it be right the next 10 times?